we welcome Dr. Sean Manion, and a long-time friend, partner, and fellow of the British Blockchain Association. And yeah, look forward to hearing what you have to share today, Dr. Sean.
Awesome. And now let me see if I can successfully share my screen as well. How is that looking?
Good.
All right, let's see if we can go to even better. Okay, so thank you all for having me here today, and again for all the work that you do. I want to take a moment before I start with just a very brief presentation, kind of talking about DeSci, or decentralized science, and how that underlies some of the healthcare questions that we have with what blockchain and Web3 can do. I want to highlight JBBA and BBA in general, and the British Blockchain Association. The work that you have all done, especially you, Dr. Naqvi, has really steadily set the table for a point of disruption that we're at now, particularly in the United States. We're seeing some changes, massive changes in how health research is done, on healthcare and how healthcare is covered, and really at the same time that we're intersecting with a rapid rise in AI and use of AI that's a bit helter-skelter at times, really doesn't have a good foundation or base, and all of a sudden this blockchain that we hear for years is a solution looking for a problem, quite literally has found the problem that is looking for a solution with some of the guardrails it can bring to a number of different things, along with the innovations it can bring to science funding, the innovations it can bring to science publishing. And I think that the British Blockchain Association has been a leader in this. I was in the federal government, and I'll go to my background a little bit here, but I was in the federal government in the US for almost 20 years in various capacities. And when I came across blockchain in 2016, I wanted to get them looking at it. And, the old adage of, when's the best time to plant a tree 20 years ago? When's the second best time today? When's the best time to start working on a blockchain roadmap for a government? Well, it was probably 10 years ago. And when's the second best time? It's today. And of course, now with the work that BBA has done with the UK government and of course helped with different roadmaps and governments all around, we're now seeing some acknowledgement of that within the US. And I think that there are pieces at the ready that we can use to help that effort forward. There's knowledge that we've brought. And my background, I'm a neuroscientist. I spent 20 years in US federal research policy, and I've been a BBA fellow and JBBA editor since I think 2018. I've been in the blockchain healthcare space since 2016. I'm a co-author of a book, Blockchain for Medical Research, Accelerating Trust in Healthcare, that I'm slowly working on a second edition because it's 5 years old now, and lots have changed, but lots hasn't changed. I'm also co-founder and chief scientific officer of a nonprofit AI Mind Systems Foundation group that there's some information on the left where we are looking at personalizing individuals' health data. And then a new startup, I'm a co-founder and chief scientific officer of Praxis Science, where we're trying to get scientists involved in building the tech for science. We like to talk about how traditional science, trad sci, and decentralized science, DeSci, come together, and we're looking at that practical aspect today. One thing I've always liked to stress, and I went so far as to co-author a paper that we published in JBBA a couple of years ago, is that blockchain isn't just technology. Blockchain is people. Blockchain is the community that gives the usage and the governance. And without that, it's just a tool that isn't being used. And so the applications are really important to have the people who want to use them. And there's two ways to build tech for users. One is to build the tech and then find the users who fit that particular use or adjust to their needs. And the other is to get that community together and move forward in developing the governance, developing some of the requirements for the technology that you need, and then building the technology. And it's been my experience over the last 10 years that that's a less pursued route. It's harder from a VC and pathway to funding route, but I think that it's one that provides more benefit in the long run. And since science moves slowly and needs help right now, one of the things we're doing at Praxis Science is creating a refuge for scientists. We call it Terminus. And this has been a place where we're starting to put together what we call decentralized publications and starting to build out for different sub areas of science, including many of the life sciences and health sciences fields, technology based on the needs of the scientists rather than technology that's put on the scientists and doesn't always get adopted. There is a website, terminuspraxisscience.com. If anyone wants to join, it's open. You can come and join us and see what's going on there. But I want to talk a little bit more today about decentralized science, about AI, and about how blockchain is the solution we've been waiting for this rapid rise in AI with absolutely no guardrails to it, with no understanding of the black box that oftentimes goes into a clinical decision support system and has caused many failures. I published a paper earlier this year called where I put a framework together for this. How do we think about AI? How do we think about decentralized science, blockchain, and Web3 in this future, not just slapping them on top of what we have now, or in some cases accelerating the problems we have now by automating the decision-making that's not that great, but instead putting together a new system that has a different sort of approach, building slowly with the technology from the community as the start. And I think that's the power that blockchain can bring, because it does have an eye towards the community, unlike AI, and it does bring that auditability and those guardrails, which are what is needed right now, particularly in healthcare, because it's a very high-risk area. This paper is something that was put out as a bit of a grand challenge, but the thrust of it is that there are 5 key layers. If you think of it as a pipeline of knowledge or a supply chain of knowledge, which is an area that's very natural for blockchain individuals to think about, we start with our data. We move to information and data sets that's information. Then we then have evidence that is curated into articles that undergo a peer review. And I know there, JBBA and the Center for Evidence-Based Blockchain have been very strongly adamant for this aspect being applied to blockchain as well. But those articles are still, they're not anything more than pieces of evidence. That evidence must be pulled together, especially in health and life sciences, into knowledge, into actionable knowledge. There we see oftentimes systematic reviews in the current system. And of course, then you move from that actionable knowledge to the actual applied knowledge, clinical practice guidelines being the most regular form that we see in knowledge products, but also products, devices, pharmaceuticals. That pipeline needs to be recognized across the whole piece and needs to have a system that allows us to make changes while they are viable, not to the whole thing. You can't have one algorithm to save them all, and people are trying, and I shake my head and say, well, that's not going to work out. But really having the automated governance, which blockchain brings, and then the automated complex information processing that AI can bring, and apply these to different areas as they are viable. And so what I've done is sort of put a very simple future out there of what this could look like, and invited people to think about it and critique and have different looks at it. The DeSci portion, I think, is absolutely critical, and this is where British Blockchain Association, JBBA, and the whole blockchain and healthcare community has been critical of really finding the role of that automated governance, that auditing, and yes, that incentivization. I don't think that tokens are unimportant. I think they're just a complexity that's sometimes hard, especially in science and parts of healthcare, for people to get their head around in the traditional community, and sometimes have to be more of an advanced use case. And so today I just wanted to highlight that DeSci component, that guardrail component that blockchain can bring to health AI, which is getting a lot of attention, and really that prognostication that has been done by really everyone on this panel and those at BBA, and looking ahead for these things. So with that, I will stop, and happy if we have time today to answer any questions.
Dr. Manion, yes, you have a few minutes. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask.
I'm also happy to pontificate on corollary subjects till the cows come home. But I was trying to keep it short. But some of the changes we are seeing right now are really opening up whole new opportunities. With even just yesterday, some of the new guidance from NIH. Please, Arun, you have a question?
Thank you for the presentation. So, it's just because I'm not technical, well, when you said swarm, do you mean swarm of AI agent, or is that something else entirely?
I'm using the term from the federated learning world where they're speaking of swarm learning, which is sort of bi-directional groups that are distributed. So instead of just having one query spot across a large amount of data for federated learning, you have any point of data can also become a query point. So swarm I'm using in that version of if you look in the literature, what's called swarm learning or swarm federated learning.
Okay, because when I saw that, the thing that came to my mind is Project Nanda. I don't know if you heard of it.
I think I have. I have not gone deep on it, but there's a lot of great stuff that's happening in that field. Is that what is their focus?
I think I can share the link. It's like a network of AI agent or something like that. It's from MIT and the guys from Google.
Okay. Yeah,
I
that's
think
probably where it's hit my radar. That'll be worth looking more into because that's an area I've spent some time in a past group with, but I haven't spent a lot of time in the past year or so looking at the advances, and it's moving quickly.
Thank you.
Mhm.